So my script is on my phone, and I just disabled my phone. So we're just gonna talk. Hello, beautiful people. I hope you're having an awesome day. My name is Irene, and I am the owner and founder of Simply Serenity. And today we are finishing our grad school application preparation, whatever series. So last week we talked about what you can do to prepare for applying for graduate school, how you can figure out what programs to add to your list, what's the best fit for you, all that good stuff. Today we're going to talk about how you organize your application and make sure that you have the best application possible. And what we're going to do is break this down into 4 or 5 components. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to actually organize the application itself. Okay. So when I was applying for grad school, once I figured out what programs I wanted to apply to and all that stuff, I literally got on my computer. I went to all of the graduate admissions pages for every school and every program that I applied to, and I created this document where I literally copied and pasted every piece of the application. So this document's a little dingy now, but what I did is that I put what is all required for the application. So transcripts, test scores, resumes, how many letters of recommendation, how many essays, and when the deadline was and when the funding deadline was. And make sure that you understand that those are 2 different things, the funding deadline and the admissions deadline. I literally copied and pasted every single prompt, every single thing that they said that you needed to get into that program. And I used this as pretty much my guidebook whenever I was doing my applications. So once I figured out all the funding deadlines, I added those to my calendar immediately. And then I just started working at what I needed for each application. And I found that a lot of applications require the same stuff. So you're going to have to do a personal statement or statement of purpose. We'll get into that later for every application. So you might as well write one really good master one and then start breaking it up for the specific pieces for each of the applications. And so that was kind of my thought process when I started, really to make sure I had everything organized and reduce the amount of work that I had to do in between and changing stuff around. You gotta laugh, it's just us sometimes. Okay. Another important component of looking into like organizing your application is understanding funding. And honestly, I could do a whole separate video on funding if y'all really wanted to. It's such a tricky concept, I feel like, because it depends on the school, it depends on your program, it depends on who you are. But one thing to note is that you should just be looking for fellowships, assistantships, scholarships, whatever, and make sure that you understand those deadlines so that whenever you do make your master document, you can include all of that stuff in there and put all of the deadlines in your calendar ahead of time and set reminders so that you know when this stuff is and so that you can be prepared rather than letting these deadlines rush up on you. So once you've organized your application, you figured out what the components are that you need, all that good stuff, now it's time to get into each component. And what I did was I talked about the 3 pretty much similar things that you're going to need for every application. You're going to need a statement of purpose or a personal statement, so basically an essay. You're going to need some sort of resume, and then you're going to have to do some letters of recommendation. Again, for every program, the number of essays, the number of letter recommendations is going to be different. But in general, those are going to be the 3 things that you need. Now, I didn't say test scores because some programs are not requiring test scores. And I think test scores is an entirely different topic that I don't really want to get into just yet. But it's another important component. But again, doing the research about the program you're going into will give you an idea of how important test scores are, if they're even important at all. Alrighty, so essays. For me, that might be the most daunting part. Like, how do I write why I want to be in this program into 2 pages and make you all understand why it's important to me and why you should have me? I don't know. But some things to note. You should understand the difference between a personal statement and a statement of purpose. So, to break this down, according to UCLA's Undergraduate Writing Center, they kind of define a statement of purpose very distinctly. A statement of purpose focuses on your reason for applying, including professional and intellectual and research interests and the expertise you have gained. A personal statement is storytelling of experiences related to who you are and how they shaped your interest in the field. So while they kind of sound similar, they're very different. In a nutshell, your statement of purpose highlights your research and academic experiences and how you're able to contribute those experiences to that program. Your personal statement is more of a story about why you're interested in that field specifically. So for example, for me, my statement of purpose talked about I've had X, Y, and Z leadership roles that would prepare me, and I've had X, Y, and Z research experiences that I can use to contribute to your program. For my personal statement, I will talk about how I grew up in a small town, but I didn't know anything about agriculture, and I've always wanted to farm, and all of those things. You get the point. So understand the difference so that you know what you're supposed to be writing, because each program is going to require something different. So of the 3 programs I applied to, 2 of them wanted a personal statement and 1 wanted a statement of purpose. So I had to make sure that I differentiated those 2. So some things to consider or remember when you're writing your essays. 1, have people read over them, and make sure that you have multiple people read over them several times if they can. People are going to give you different perspectives about what you should and shouldn't include, how you should word things. And if you're able to get enough feedback, but not too much feedback, you can kind of weigh everything and figure out what works for you. So I reached out to a lot of people, but I had about 4 people get back to me with my essays. And some of the people that I know who have very sciencey backgrounds had very specific edits, whereas people I know who are more creative and artistic had other edits. And so I was able to kind of take those and then filter them through like who I am as a person and how I speak to make them sound better. The second thing is that you need to review your essay several times, but not in the same day. So we all kind of know that if we read over something so many times, like when we're editing an essay, our eyes kind of get tired to the different errors, so we tend to skip over things. Whereas if we come back to it, 2 days later or a day later, we kind of bring fresh eyes and we can spot out things that we want to change and bring a different perspective. So it's really important to constantly review it. The next thing is that you need to use sites to spell check. Microsoft Office spell check is not the best spell check in my opinion. So I use the site Grammarly. It's a free extension on your computer that will edit through all of your essays. And if you decide to upgrade to the premium version, it'll show you how you can change your sentences to make them sound more fluid and make your writing style just a lot easier to read while also getting the point across that you're trying to get across. I'm not sponsored by Grammarly, but I think it's a really awesome tool to use, and I've used it in school for my emails and everything. Lastly, submit your document as a PDF. There's nothing else to say about this, but make sure that you submit your document as a PDF. It ensures that your formatting stays the same, that the document's easy to download, that the admissions committee can easily get access to it. And a lot of applications are just going to ask you to submit it that way anyway. Next, we have letters of recommendation. These are very interesting to me. I think a lot of times when we think of letters of recommendation, we just try to find the person that we know the closest that can spout all these great things about us. But in reality, you really have to be strategic about who is doing your letters. So point number 1 within letters of recommendation is make sure that you have a diverse group of people that can write about 1, your diverse talents, and 2, your diverse experiences. So for example, for my top program that I applied to, I had to do 3 different letters of recommendation. I had 2 people that were in academia. 1 person that was a faculty member, 1 person that was an administrator. And then I had 1 person who has a full-time job. But she's a mentor of mine. And even though she hadn't been a mentor of mine for that long, and I hadn't worked with her that closely on a lot of things, she still knew specific things about me that I felt like I needed to highlight. Another thing for me that was important was because I'm switching from a science field to a policy and political science field, I needed somebody who could speak to the transferable skills outside of just the classroom. So yeah, I can do chemistry really well, but that's not necessarily going to help me write policy. The second thing about letters of recommendation is you need to have somebody that has a good status. And I know that this kind of sounds shallow, but hear me out. When you're applying for an undergraduate program, you had your high school teachers write you a letter of recommendation. When you applied for your first job, you had your college teachers write you a letter of recommendation. When you're trying to move up in the company, you would find somebody that you work for in that company that can write you a letter of recommendation. My point here is that as you move higher, you need to have people that have experiences and credentials that can speak to the fact that you know how to do the hard work that whatever this task or program is requiring you to do. So when you're applying to go to graduate school, for the love of God, do not ask your fourth grade science teacher to write your letter of recommendation unless your fourth grade science teacher is like a Nobel Prize winner. Other than that, like, they shouldn't be writing your letter of recommendation. You need to have somebody that has the credentials that if I Google them, I know that, okay, this person is legit. And so having this person speak for a student really means that this student must be special. Make sure that you reach out to your recommenders early and give them time to write the letter. You do not want to be reaching out to them a week or 2 weeks before your application is due to get you to write the letter. A lot of times, I know for my programs, the programs that I applied to, they would send these automatic messages to me or to my recommenders like, hey, just to remind you, 2 more weeks until this application is due, please get this letter in. But to be safe, you don't want to be stuck in that situation. So what I did, and I'll include it on the screen, is I created an email that I sent to all of my recommenders that had every program I was applying to, what department it was under, what the deadline was, and the fact that, you know, this is when I want this is when I really want this letter recommendation submitted. And then if I went into the system and saw that they didn't submit it, I would email them again and be like, hey, just to remind you, I have such and such letter of recommendation done. And as a bonus, to make sure that it's easier on them so that it's less work on them, because a lot of times your recommenders are really busy, what you can do is find a draft of a letter of recommendation and draft it up for them. That way, when it's time for them to submit, all they have to do is add the letterhead, add their signature, and change a few things in between, and they'll be able to submit immediately. And that's just a lot of pressure off of them. And this way you can also kind of tailor what they speak about for your letter. So if you want them to specifically speak about your skills in marketing, then you write, Joanne has great potential in marketing, so that they speak specifically to what, like, probe them, like, make them talk about what you want them to talk about, because it'll be a lot easier on you and on them. So next we're going to go into resumes. As you start working on applications, you'll see that some schools ask for a resume, some schools ask for a CV. Again, 2 very distinct things. According to artofeducation.com, and I'll leave this graphic on the screen, but a resume is usually 1 page. It highlights your professional and personal accomplishments, and it's tailored to the specific job listing. So if you are applying to a marketing job, you find the jobs that you've had, or if you're applying to a marketing program, you find the jobs and internships that you've had where you've used your marketing skills. Even if you've worked at like McDonald's or something, how did you market? Like, find things and tailor them to the specific program. A CV or a curriculum vitae, I don't know how to say it, but a CV is meant specifically for academia. So in a CV, they're usually 2 pages or more. I've seen people with like 9-page CVs. They are comprehensive on your educational and professional experiences, and they're in reverse chronological order. Whereas like resumes can have varying formats. And they're made mostly for academia. So here's kind of how to break this down simply. Resumes are for industry, CVs are for academia. If you're trying to go on the master's, PhD, research faculty, professor track, whatever. And so making sure that you understand the differences of both, doing your research, having what you need to have to ensure that you're giving them what they ask for. So again, same as your letters, or same as your essays, make sure that you have people read over them. Again, have multiple people read over them. Make sure that you get diverse input. Have people who have done the types of things that you want to do read over them, because they're going to know what people in those positions are looking for. Next, I think this is a thing that I feel like I hate about resumes. I kind of mentor students and I'll read over resumes, and they'll include jobs that they've had because they may have only had like a couple of side jobs in college or something. But they keep the descriptions really, really simple. And so one thing I always tell people is like, you have to make yourself sound impressive. If your personal statement was the place where they, got to know you as a person, and your letters of recommendation was where they got to know how other people see you, this is where you have to use this space to make yourself look like you are the bomb diggity. If you were just flipping burgers throughout college, you need to make it sound like you were the best burger flipper. You don't lie, but you do things to embellish and bring out the technicalities of what you did. Fancy resume terms for flipping burgers. Okay, here we go. 10 resume-worthy descriptions of fast food skills you might not have considered. Maintained high standard of customer service during high-volume, fast-paced operations. Basically, you told people to stand in a line. Assisted management with inventory control and stocking orders. You counted things. But if you can make it sound impressive, like, they're gonna notice the fact that you took out that time to really put effort into this resume. And then you can bring out other skills that you may not have been able to bring out in your statement of purpose. So long story short, you better sound like the best burger flipper on the block. And again, just like with your essays, make sure that you're saving them as a PDF. You're using sites like Grammarly to do your spell check and your grammar check, and do all of the things to just make sure that it's airtight, formatted right. That's about it for the application, but I wanted to give you one extra thing, and that is your mindset. You have to believe that you are capable of getting into this program. Applying for graduate school can be very stressful for a lot of people, especially if you're doing it while you're still in school or while you're working full time. You're trying to put yourself out there so that you can accomplish a goal that you have, and so it can be kind of scary. And I will say that for me, I did have a level of like imposter syndrome. Like, are they really going to accept me to this program? Do they really feel like I'm capable? I don't have a degree in politics or political science like so many of the students coming in are. So like, what makes me worthy of getting to this program? But you really have to speak positivity and manifest the life that you want. Have your support system with you. I had my family and my friends pray for me whenever I submitted my application. I remember when I submitted a couple of the applications, I was on the phone with one of my friends and I was like, okay, can we pray real quick before I hit submit? And I was just praying over my application because I wanted to have that sense of positivity and belief in myself that I could get into these programs. So if this is your first time or your 50th time applying for grad school, do not let past failures or past defeats stop you. You are completely capable, and I completely believe in you. So that is it. Comment below if you are in graduate school or if you're applying, what kind of programs you're applying to, what are your interests. I would love to hear what you all are doing. Like I said, in the fall of 2020, I will be starting at The Ohio State University, getting a master's of public administration, and I am super excited to take you on this journey with me. It'll be my first time really moving away from home. It'll be a completely new environment for me, so I'm super excited for this. Let me know if you want me to make more grad school related videos. I would love to do that as well. And I just hope that you have an awesome time. Mwah.